Graduating high school should have been one of the best days of my life. Instead, it turned into the day I discovered my entire future had been casually renovated away. Let me explain. Hey everyone, long-time lurker, first-time poster. Honestly, I'm still trying to process everything that happened. Figured maybe putting it out here, getting it off my chest, might help. Plus, maybe someone else has been through something similar and can tell me I'm not totally crazy for what I did. Picture this. Graduation day. The sun's shining. Everyone's in those goofy robes. And yeah, it's hot as hell. But there's this buzz in the air. You know, like we actually made it. We're done with high school. Freedom. Here we come. For me, graduation wasn't just about escaping algebra and early morning starts. It was about finally stepping onto the path I'd been dreaming about. College. Ever since I was little, my grandparents, bless their hearts, had been talking about my college fund. Grandma and Grandpa weren't rich, not by a long shot. Grandpa was a retired mailman, and Grandma worked part-time at the local library. But they were savers. Frugal, you know? Every birthday, every Christmas, instead of a bunch of toys, they'd give me a check, always earmarked for my future education. They made a big deal about it. 2. This is for your dreams, honey, Grandma would say, her eyes twinkling. You're going to do great things, and this little nest egg is going to help you get there. Grandpa, always more practical, would add, education is the one thing no one could ever take away from you. Over the years, it added up, not to millionaire levels, but a solid, respectable amount, enough to make a real dent in tuition at a decent state school. Maybe even cover most of it if I was smart about loans and scholarships. It was security. It was hope. It was mine. Or so I thought. Graduation party rolls around. The usual backyard barbecue at my parents' place. Burgers, hot dogs, potato salad, the works. Families there, neighbors, a few of my friends. It's all pretty standard. Pleasant enough, if a little overwhelming. Then Aunt Susan, bless her gossipy heart, corners me by the lemonade stand. So, she says, leaning in conspiratorially, big plans for college, huh? Heard you got into state. That's wonderful. Yeah, state's my top choice, I say, grabbing a cup of lemonade to cool down. Just got to figure out all the financial stuff now. Aunt Susan nods sagely. Oh, well, you're lucky you got that lovely college fund your grandparents set up. That'll be a huge help, won't it? And that's when it happened. That little comment. So innocent, so matter of fact, dropped like a lead weight in my stomach. I'd always assumed the fund was there, a given, like the sky being blue or taxes being inevitable. I'd never actually seen the statements, never really asked about the specifics. Teenage brain, I guess. Focus on applications, essays, actually getting to college. Not the cold, hard cash part. The college fund? I asked, suddenly feeling a little dizzy. Yeah, of course. Grandma and Grandpa's fund. Aunt Susan says, oblivious to the panic rising in my throat. Your parents must be so relieved to have that to fall back on. I manage a weak smile and excuse myself, suddenly needing to find my parents. Now, I spot them by the grill. Dad flipping burgers, Mom arranging plates of food on the picnic table. They look normal, happy even, like everything's fine. Mom, Dad, I say, my voice coming out a little shaky. They both turn, smiling. Hey, champ, everything good? Dad asks, tongs poised over sizzling patty. Yeah, everything's fine. I say, trying to keep my voice even casual. Just, Aunt Susan was asking about the college fund. Grandma and Grandpa's fund. Their smiles falter. Just for a split second, but it's enough. A flicker of something. Guilt, unease. I don't know. But it's there. Mom clears her throat, avoids my eyes, starts fussing with the plates again. Oh, the fund, she says, her voice a little too bright, too casual. Yeah, what about that? And then it all comes tumbling out. Not in a rush, not dramatic, more like deflated, like letting air out a balloon slowly. Over the next few minutes, standing there in the middle of my graduation party, With the smell of grilling meat and the sound of laughter all around us, my parents calmly, casually explain how there is no college fund. Not anymore. We had to use it, honey, Mom says, still not looking directly at me. The house, it needed work. Work. I repeat, feeling like I'm in some kind of bizarre dream. What kind of work? Dad steps in, taking over. The kitchen, mostly. Remember how we've been talking about redoing it for years? Well, the pipes finally went, and one thing led to another. New cabinets, new countertops, new appliances. He trails off, gesturing vaguely toward the house with his burger tongs. It was a big job, expensive, and, well, the college fund was just there. You used my college fund to renovate the kitchen? I managed to choke out, my voice rising despite myself. I feel my face getting hot, my hands clenching into fists. They finally look at me then, and their expressions are, I don't even know how to describe it. Not apologetic, not remorseful, more like slightly annoyed, like I'm making a deal out of nothing. Now, honey, don't get upset, Mom says, using the same soothing tone she used when I was little and scraped my knee. It's a beautiful kitchen now. You'll see. But college, I stammer, feeling like I'm talking to aliens who don't understand basic human concepts. That money was for college. We know, sweetie, Dad says, patting my arm awkwardly with a greasy burger tong. And we'll figure it out. Loans, scholarships, you can work part-time. Lots of kids do it. But Grandma and Grandpa, I whisper, the thought of them, of their careful saving, twisting like a knife in my gut. They gave you that money for me. And we appreciate that. Mom says quickly, too quickly. But we're your parents. We know what's best. And frankly, honey, you weren't even that serious about college anyway. That sentence, that one stupid, casually cruel sentence is what broke me. Not that serious? Are you kidding me? I worked my butt off for 4 years to get good grades, to get into a good school. This is everything I've been working towards. Don't exaggerate, Dad says, his tone hardening slightly. You're a smart kid. You'll be fine. And that's when I stormed off, slammed my bedroom door, and started thinking about suing them. I found it tucked away in a box of childhood mementos. Then he actually nodded. You have a case, he said, his voice calm and matter-of-fact. A pretty strong one, actually. Using custodial funds for personal home renovations? That's a clear violation of their fiduciary duty, and frankly, morally reprehensible. Hearing those words from a lawyer, a professional, someone outside my messed-up family dynamic, was validating. It made me feel like I wasn't crazy, like my anger was justified, like I wasn't just being a spoiled brat. The lawyer explained the process, the potential costs, the risks. He didn't sugarcoat it. It's going to be messy, he warned. It's going to be emotional, and it's likely going to destroy your relationship with your parents, at least for the foreseeable future. I knew that. I already knew that. But honestly, standing there in his office, looking at the legal documents and listening to his calm, professional voice, I realized something. My relationship with my parents was already damaged. They had already shown me, in the clearest way possible, that they didn't respect me, didn't value my dreams, didn't even see me as a person deserving of basic consideration. So what did I really have to lose? A relationship that was already broken, or my future? I told the lawyer to proceed. The lawsuit was filed, Jane Doe versus John and Mary Doe. They used pseudonyms to protect my identity, which I appreciated. Still, it felt surreal, seeing my parents' names on legal documents, knowing I was the one who put them there. Things went nuclear fast. My parents were furious, not apologetic, not remorseful, just incandescently, screamingly angry. How dare I do this to them? How dare I air our family's dirty laundry in public? How could I be so ungrateful, so disrespectful? The phone calls were intense, shouting matches, accusations, threats. My mom cried hysterically about how I was tearing the family apart. My dad ranted about how I was ruining their reputation, how everyone in town would think they were terrible parents. Through it all, I tried to stay calm. I tried to explain. I tried to make them understand. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about hurting them. It was about justice. It was about right and wrong. It was about them taking something that wasn't theirs and expecting me to just accept it. But they wouldn't listen. They just kept repeating the same accusations, the same justifications, the same victim-blaming nonsense. Talking to them was like talking to brick walls. The legal process dragged on for months. Depositions, discovery, mediation, all that fun legal stuff. It was stressful, exhausting, emotionally draining. Seeing my parents in court, facing them across the table with lawyers on either side, was heartbreaking in a way. These were the people who were supposed to love me, protect me, support me. And here we were, battling it out in a courtroom over stolen money. But I held my ground. My lawyer was amazing, calm, strategic, utterly unflappable. He presented the evidence clearly, forcefully, methodically. He painted a picture of my grandparents' intentions, my parents' betrayal, and the devastating impact it had on my life. My parents' lawyer, on the other hand, well, let's just say he had his work cut out for him. Their defense basically boiled down to, we're the parents. We can do what we want, and she should be grateful for everything we've given her, which in a court of law didn't exactly fly. And then the day of the verdict arrived. I was a nervous wreck. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, just pace around my apartment like a caged animal. An hour before the hearing, my lawyer called. Be prepared for anything, he said, his voice serious. We have a strong case, but you never know with judges. Just stay calm, whatever happens. I walked into court feeling like I was walking to my own execution. My parents were already there, sitting on the other side of the courtroom, looking grim and furious. We didn't make eye contact. The judge read out the verdict, and I honestly almost didn't believe it. He ruled in my favor. He found that my parents had, indeed, breached their fiduciary duty. And then he announced the settlement amount. It wasn't just the original college fund. It was triple that. Triple. The judge stated that the settlement wasn't just to restore the stolen funds, but also to compensate for emotional distress, for the betrayal of trust, for the long-term impact on my future. He called my parents' actions callous and reprehensible. Those were his exact words. I won. I actually won. Walking out of that courtroom, it felt surreal. Relief washed over me in waves so intense, they almost knocked me off my feet. Validation, too. Like, yes, I was right. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. Justice had been served. But there was no joy, no celebration. Just a hollow, echoing emptiness. I had won the battle, but I had lost my family. Maybe I had lost them a long time ago, when they decided granite countertops were more important than my future. But it still hurt. It still felt like a loss. My parents, of course, went ballistic. My lawyer told me later they were screaming at their attorney, threatening to appeal, the whole 9 yards. But the verdict was the verdict. They had to pay. A few weeks later, the money arrived, deposited into a new account set up by my lawyer specifically for my education. It was a substantial amount, enough to cover tuition at State U, plus living expenses, books, everything. More than I had ever dreamed of having. I enrolled that fall, moved into a dorm, started classes, finally began building the future I had always wanted. And yet, it was amazing. College was everything I had hoped for and more. Challenging, exciting, eye-opening. I was finally on my path, but there was always a shadow, a quiet ache in my chest, the knowledge that my parents weren't part of my life anymore. We haven't spoken since the lawsuit. No phone calls, no emails, no birthday cards, nothing. They've effectively disowned me, and maybe in a way, I've disowned them too. Sometimes, I wonder if I did the right thing, if it was worth it, if I should have just swallowed my pride, taken out loans, worked my way through college, and tried to patch things up with my parents. Maybe family is more important than money. But then I remember their faces, their casual dismissal, their granite countertops. And I know, deep down, I did what I had to do. I stood up for myself. I fought for my future. I refused to let them steal my dreams. And yeah, maybe I ended up with triple the original college fund. But honestly, If I could trade it all back to have a normal, loving relationship with my parents again, if I could have them be proud of me, have them in my life, I don't know, maybe I would, but that's not how life works, is it? Sometimes you have to make hard choices. Sometimes family isn't always what you think it should be. Sometimes you have to fight for yourself, even if it means fighting the people who are supposed to love you the most. And sometimes, just sometimes, you win. But winning doesn't always feel like winning. Sometimes it just feels complicated and a little bit sad.